Judge, thank you so much for talking with us here today. We've been working on this project, kind of revisiting the national media story that was the removal of Indian Head Rock out of the Ohio River. And New York Times did a piece on it, CBS News came down and did a piece on it, local media, Randy Yohe did a piece on it. It just kept growing and growing and growing and growing. But start off with, just tell us your role in the Kentucky state system in 2007 and 8 when the rock was removed.
I was county judge here in Greenup County.
When did you first hear of Indian Head Rock?
When I was telling a while ago, I told you that I heard about it when they did a story. Somebody, I don't know if it was the news or the TV, whatever, they did a story on them trying to pull it out of the river. That's when I first heard about the Indian Head Rock.
Never heard any histories or anything about it?
I hadn't personally, no.
What were your first thoughts when you heard about the rock being removed from the river? Were the people around here upset originally?
Yes. I like I said, I didn't think a lot about it when they first did it. Then I started hearing, one, then another. Then we started getting calls and messages, letters from different groups, the heritage groups, and the people were just completely, they didn't like it at all, that they bothered it and took it out of the water out of its resting place. And see, I didn't realize that was on an archaeological site. I did find all this out later.
So, how did the legal proceedings take place? I know originally Cliff Duvall here in the county filed the original suit against the folks who took it out of the river. Eventually it went up to the Kentucky Supreme Court.
Right. And then the Attorney General, took it over at that point. And then when they finally settled it, Cliff Duvall, they finally proved that they couldn't say that was the exact rock or whatever that was in the history books. And so they settled it, asked me if I would go get it. I told them I would get it and put it up until they decided what they wanted to do with it, and I've still got it.
How many years has that been?
That's been since, I went and picked it up in 2010.
So from your point, from the point of your office, we first heard about the rock being removed. How soon was it until the national media came here, New York Times, CBS News and all that?
I'm going to say, a year, probably. I never dealt with them at all. But, they were here and they did do a story on it. It was a big deal. It was just kind of, we had other things going on, and so I didn't pay a lot of attention to it at the time.
During the process of the legal proceedings, did the Ohio side ever have any requests to you or any other local people about ways to kind of barter to get the rock back and forth?
Yes, I was telling you a while ago, I don't remember the name, but one of the former mayors of Portsmouth, at that time he'd called me and he offered to put it on display, whatever, and then, but that was already in court then at that time, so I couldn't make that decision. So, he had a good idea, but it just didn't pan out.
I read this, and I talked to Jack Conway about this too. There was a rep from Ohio by the name of Todd Book who wanted to have a Civil War reenactment group guard the rock up in Ohio. And then he wanted to have, and I'm not making this up, a paper, rock, scissors battle with Jack Conway.
Well, see, when I read this in the article, that's the first time I'd ever heard that.
And Jack Conway said there was no way over his dead body he was going to do any of this stuff. Did you ever know of any of that?
No, I did not. I did not know of any of that. And I don't know if that's been blown out of proportion. I don't know.
It definitely would have made for TV.
Yeah, it would have made TV, that's for sure.
How did the rock end up to where it is today, here in the garage?
Like I said, when Cliff Duvall and them finally settled the suit, and you'll have to look up how that was settled. They told us come and get it. It was in the Portsmouth City garage, I believe, for 2 years. So we went over and sized it up, brought the proper truck and took a lowboy over and picked it up. And they helped us load it. We brought it over and put it in our garage, and it's still there today. I would love to see it go back down to around South Shore, South Portsmouth area, and put a You know, it ought to be put where people can enjoy it and look at it.
Do a lot of people ask to look at the rock?
Yes, you wouldn't believe how many people that we've had them open the garage up and let people stop and look at it from, like people like you that's not from here that'll come and want to see this. And like I said, we had a Lexington up here about 2 months ago and did a story on it.
Where would be a good place for the rock? Somewhere in South Shore? Because I read once that Greenbow Park State Park was thinking about putting it out there.
Well, I don't think, I think South Shore city property, city building, with it being inside so long now and it being a sandstone type rock, I think it needs to be in some type of a glass enclosure, like take a gazebo and put the fiberglass sides on it where people could see it without touching and beating on it. And I think it lasts a long time that way.
Do you need to get that room back for other county stuff?
No, we had a little kind of an extra spot for it, and so we had a room there for it. It's not really bothered us any. You actually forget it's there. We keep the door closed unless someone asks to look at it.
Now, there was never any threat of somebody from Ohio coming back and stealing it or anything?
No, never. I never heard another word once it was settled and we picked it up. That was the end of it. And it kind of died off, and then like I said, here in the last year, it's starting to pick back up again. The stories, I think, either we're getting slow on the news or getting tired of talking about politics, and they're going to talk about the rock.
Well, after you've seen the rock and media people have talked to you about it, what do you kind of think of the rock? Do you think it's kind of neat? Do you think it's historical?
I think it's historical and very neat, and I think it's part of our history. You know, Kentucky history. It was a marking place for the boats, and you don't go over that far. That was kind of a marker. That's how deep it was. You know, you don't want to get over any closer. And then I'm sure the people in Portsmouth, back in their early times, used it too. They said people used to swim out to it. That's how they got all the initials on it. So, back before the dam, like you said, before the mid-50s. But it's just history, and it should be displayed for our children to see.
All right. Do you have any closing comments on the rock, Judge?
No, I just hope that one day that that somebody comes up with an idea or somewhere we can put it, and I would be glad to try to help them.
All right, that's perfect.